Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We want to welcome you to our first regular meeting in October. If everybody would please stand. And Vicki Mercado, if you'd lead us in a prayer.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for gathering us here today. We ask that you bless all those present. That your Holy Spirit guide us to know how we can better assist our poor in our community. We ask this in your holy name.
Amen. Amen. Mr. List, if you'd lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. This is the time reserved, ladies and gentlemen, for public comment for anyone in the community to come and speak to an item that is on our agenda. We also have a second public comment period where you can speak at the end of the meeting to anything, even if it's not on the agenda. We do ask that when you come to speak that you register with our receptionist and indicate what agenda item you'll be speaking to. And we have no one signed up to speak. Does anyone wish to speak to an item that is on the agenda? Okay, there being none, we move to the first item, which is approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting of September 21st.
So moved, Chairman. Second motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? There are none. Item number 2 is a report from our port director, Mr. List.
Yes, good afternoon, and just wanted to highlight some good news that has developed since I've started here. And number one, we have been approached by some folks that wanted to bring coal into the port in bigger numbers that have come in before, and we had to review the rate structure, and I think that's going to be on the agenda today, to be able to accommodate their needs versus some other areas where they could get in their wharfage a little more attractive. So we did review it. We became more competitive. We didn't actually match the number, and it's going to mean a new business of 25,000 tons of coal coming in from Colombia, from the Carbonadas in Colombia into the port of Brownsville, and the objective is to be able to repeat that business in the near future, hopefully every 2 months. So that would be new tonnage. We have also another company that's approached us about rock coming in from Mexico via rail. And the proposal, this is not finished yet, but the proposal is for 9,000 tons a week. It would be they're looking at possibly loading 100 tons per rail car, and so that would be 9,000 tons of new business also, which come into, hopefully, if we can work it out, Terminal 10, Dock 10, and then it would go to barges and go outbound from the port. So it would be good in the sense that we're getting additional revenues and jobs for it coming in, and then also being handled and going out. So those are the two. Another item, when I was being interviewed, I talked about probably the need, the timing to develop liner services out of the port, be they small, be they large, but hopefully what you call short sea shipping, which would be an American flag service, a Jones Act service. And so we have contacted a company called Osprey, and we are planning to have a session here where they come down and talk to the brokers and the shippers, and hopefully the board about how they see that they could accommodate their service into here, connecting with Houston and or perhaps Tampa or another port. With the cost of fuel and so many other factors that we see, the timing is really good. The challenge is, of course, to be able to justify enough cargo so they can pay their bills and keep the service going. So, but to just advise that is in the works, and very positive. A lot of people have come together saying that maybe the time is right to revisit this and get it started. We also had a visit this week from APM, and I think that they are the number one customer of the port right now, and I think I've already mentioned the large tonnages that they're handling, and it's only going up. They gave us a PowerPoint showing their facilities in Mexico and how they've invested heavily to keep their business expanding. And basically, they talked about their steel products like a home center that they have to invest so much in new machinery and so on to give their customers the selection of products to be able to stay ahead of their competition and so on. But they're talking $180 million over the last 3 years, so they're serious. We felt that they're really good friends of the port. They're going to do over 1 million tons this year, projected, of steel, and and they want to stay with us. They have all of their logistics here. It makes a lot of sense. So this is our existing business that's growing very quickly. They could grow another 700,000 tons. They're at 700,000 tons. Yes, they're at 2.4 million. What they're doing right now, and the new 700,000 tons could happen over the next year and a half, up to 3 years. And we asked them the question, if that growth happens, how does that benefit? They said anywhere from 60 to 100% of that new tonnage would come through the port of Brownsville. But then you have the issues of accommodating them because, the growth, the size of the vessels, and sometimes the frequency of the vessels, and that's where we're challenged to relook at our project of Dock 16 to be able to hopefully, in the very near future, accommodate 2 of those vessels at the same time. In November, they will have 6 of those. I think 4 of them will need to go to Dock 15, and so if we slow down their business, maybe not seem like a problem, but if the ship owners and ship operators get delayed, then they get demurrage, and the demurrage charge on a ship like that could be $80,000, and so we're hurting their business, and that will drive them to another port. So we need to work hard to expand our infrastructure to make sure that we can accommodate the business that's willing to come here already because of the good relationships. So, Mr. Chairman, I think that's all I have today.
Wonderful. Any questions? Thank you, Mr. List. Item number 3, presentation of the Employee of the Month for September. Joe?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, this month our employee goes to someone who needs no introduction. She started at the port 11 years ago as a marketing assistant and worked her way up to become administrative assistant to the port director. Not only is Vicki instrumental in keeping the port director's office in running order, keeping the commissioners formed and in happy, putting the newsletters together, doing the advertising campaign. You're blushing, Vicki. She is always the first to jump in and offer assistance to anyone in need, whether it be in a fellow employee who needs help with medical expenses or total strangers. She's always there to collect for hurricane victims, Monica's house, blood drives, or anybody else. She's always there for us. Vicki?
Yay.
I love the check.
Vicki, can you imagine what would happen to you if you won the lottery?
She's by the Cowboys.
By the Cowboys. Or maybe just a couple, right? Great. They're all well deserved, and I want to commend Joe for this initiative of hers of honoring our employees. We hope that continues. Item number 4: consider an act on proclamation in honor of Antonio O. Garza Jr., Ambassador of the United States to Mexico. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an item that I asked to be placed on the agenda last Thursday, September 30th. An official delegation from the Brownsville Navigation District consisting of Mr. List, Vice Chairman Collins, and myself traveled to Mexico City. We left early in the morning that morning and returned late that night, and with the sole purpose of going to meet Ambassador Garza. He was gracious enough to give us, to slot us for half an hour of his time, but he ended up giving us almost an hour and a half, I want to say. In fact, I think 3 times during our meeting with him, his appointment secretary came in and rather forcefully each time, Mr. Ambassador, and she was looking at her watch, and on the 3rd time, I think he basically told her, just get lost. And it wasn't until I think I stood up and said thank him for his time that the meeting actually ended. And I just, we came away from that meeting, all three of us. We had lunch afterwards, and we came away with a deep sense of gratitude to Tony, because not only are we very proud of him as one of our favorite sons, but he expressed to us there at the meeting, as he has so often over the years, a love for the Port of Brownsville and everything that it stands for. He enjoyed very much meeting with Mr. List. I think he appreciated the fact that myself and the vice chairman and Mr. List traveled there to meet with him, and that this was your first trip abroad, and it was only fitting that it be with him, and he appreciated that. I told him that we wanted the best of relationships possible with he and his office, and that we were prepared to earn that relationship. It's a relationship that perhaps has not been as cultivated over the years as it should have been. But so those were our thoughts leaving the meeting. I asked that Mr. Renfro draft a resolution. He did a wonderful job. I made only very few changes. Those of you that have looked at your backup know that it's in the backup, and if I have a motion to approve this resolution, then I can, and a second, and if it passes, then I can read it into the record.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? There are none. Let me read it, ladies and gentlemen. Resolution of the Board of Navigation and Canal Commissioners of the Brownsville Navigation District of Cameron County, Texas, expressing the Port's gratitude to the Honorable Antonio O. Garza, Jr., Ambassador to Mexico. Whereas the Honorable Antonio O. Garza, Jr., a native of Brownsville, currently serves in the important position of United States Ambassador to Mexico, having been appointed by President George W. Bush in 2002. And whereas Ambassador Garza earned a bachelor's degree in business administration from the University of Texas at Austin and a Doctor of Jurisprudence degree from Southern Methodist University School of Law. And whereas Ambassador Garza first entered into public service in 1988 when he was elected Cameron County Judge. And whereas after 6 years of distinguished service as County Judge, Ambassador Garza was appointed Texas Secretary of State by Governor George W. Bush, whom he also served as the governor's senior advisor and lead liaison on border and Mexico affairs. And whereas Ambassador Garza continued in public service in 1998 when he was elected to statewide office as the chairman of the State Railroad Commission. And whereas Ambassador Garza's service as county judge, senior advisor to Governor Bush, and ambassador to Mexico show a deep understanding of and commitment to border economic issues. And whereas Ambassador Garza recently took significant time from his busy schedule to meet with representatives of the Port of Brownsville to discuss projects of vital importance to users of the port and to all citizens of South Texas and northern Mexico, now therefore be it resolved that the Navigation and Canal Commissioners of the Brownsville Navigation District express their sincere thanks to Ambassador Garza for his counsel, as well as his sincere and abiding support of the Port of Brownsville in all matters relating to international trade with Mexico, and be it further resolved that an official copy of this resolution be prepared for Ambassador Garza as an expression of the appreciation of the Board of Commissioners, adopted this 5th day of October, 2005, signed by all commissioners. Thank you very much.
May I add something here? Peter Zavaleta and Garza played football together. So it wasn't something that you'd go out there with people he didn't know, you know. And myself and Tony go back a long ways. In fact, he was just a young man getting out of college, I guess, and he started to run for political office. And I liked the fella, and I support him all along through his political career. So you had two of the three of us that really knew him from way back. So and he really appreciated that us going over there, especially old friends, which we call going to visit him. And he stood, like Peter said, you know, he didn't want to leave, but I mean, secretary was knocking on the door, come. He said, no, wait. So, and he gave us a very, very, very pleasant and very, very fair, very good, I don't say fair, very good visit.
Well, now that you mentioned football, Tony and I were both at St. Joseph Academy. Tony was class of 1977, and I was class of 1978. And when Tony was a junior, he was the starting quarterback on the varsity football team. and I was the starting quarterback on the junior varsity football team. And when he became a senior and I became a junior, I was selected to be the starting quarterback for the varsity football team, and Tony was the backup. And this is something that I've always said to other. I know I've told Commissioner Cristiano this, and everyone else that I know. You know, he could have been a divisive force. He could have, had a, just been a troublemaker. But instead, he not only played backup quarterback, he played tight end, he played middle linebacker, he did whatever was necessary for the team to move forward. And that's just the kind of man that he is. I guess maybe he had to swallow a little pride that a junior would beat him out to be the starting quarterback, but he didn't look at it that way. He looked at what was best for the team, and that's what he wants for us as well today, is what's best for the team. So I love the man. He's a decent and honorable man. And I'm just happy to call him a friend, and more importantly, to call him a friend of the Port of Brownsville.
And could I just add that as we were leaving, and it impressed me a lot, he really opened up and said, let me know what we can do for you, anything you need. And it sounded very, very sincere. So
thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lewis. And thank you, Commissioner Collins. Okay. Item number 5, consider and act on consulting contracts and work contracts. Anything? Nothing? Item number 6, consider and take action on revision to BND tariff number 5, page 209, item 275, wharfage charges, decrease coal in bulk via open docks from $1.09 to 71 cents. Who's that?
Tony, but he's not here.
Do we want to table that?
No, actually, we need to.
we need, and Donna, as the chair of the tariff committee, I think can address that.
Okay. In Mr. List's report, in his director's report, he had indicated about the new business that we're going to be obtaining. They negotiated with the customer and with the stevedore, and the rates that they were bringing in at other ports were significantly lower than ours. I think we were looking at Corpus Christi, they were 65 cents. Mm-hmm. And so Mr. List negotiated. He said that we'd do it 5 cents above what their rate was, and it looks like we're going to get that vessel this
The 9th of October is correct. The first 25,000 tons.
This is additional business, and this is something that we look at, like our steel business. If we get them in the door, the business will start increasing, and so this is a good deal. And this also speaks to the barge traffic. We were worried about our barge traffic decreasing, and so this will be moving by barge. So I recommend it.
How many barges will we get out of the one ship?
No, this is coming in by barge.
Oh, okay.
This is foreign. This is foreign. It comes from Colombia. I think it's Santa Marta, Colombia, to Brownsville direct. One ship dedicated to us.
I thought it was coming by barge.
No, this comes from Colombia. This is coming from Colombia. Barges are the other smaller tonnages that are coming in, like 2,600. But this will stimulate additional business for the barges as well.
I'm sorry. This is going by rail, right? Out.
This is going out by rail. That's the way I understand it, on over into Mexico.
So
Correct.
that will be additional business for us.
This is for the steel business down in Monterey, I believe, for the ovens, for the heating, for melting. Yes.
So this would be more work for the railroad also.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
So win-win.
Do we have a motion?
71 cents.
71 cents.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? There are none. Item number 7, consider and take action on items over $10,000. A, Texas Municipal League. Debbie?
We've received our renewal notices from Texas Municipal League, and the renewal on all the insurances that I've listed in the backup are a total of $265,400.86. This is actually the same premium that we did pay last year, and they'll adjust it as we go along. Last year we did not get an adjustment, so we did pretty good last year.
There's no choice.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? There are none. Item B, Aon Risk Services, Inc. of Washington.
We have the general liability policies. $56,521 and $32,733. Actually, we are seeing a $5,000 reduction in these premiums this year, and this does include our terrorism coverage.
Make a motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
This, Deb, is for all the buildings, all
Now,
property.
this is the liability.
For
and
all the
the
buildings,
the property
properties,
is
and
with
everything we have
TML.
at Port of Brownsville.
Yes, sir. The property is in TML and the liability is with AM.
That's $265,400.86.
That's buildings, that's automobiles, heavy equipment, employers' liability, and our workers' compensation. Our workers' compensation went up significantly this
The
year.
policy is how much? $1 million or
The workers' comp or the
no? For
property is about
Property, yeah.
$100 million. The property is on all of our properties. Property insurance is fire and casualty on all of our property.
I think
This is not including the windstorm where we have some issues.
Do we have a motion in a second?
I heard a motion for
yeah, it's a second also. That was discussion.
Okay.
Need to vote on.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, there are none. Item number 8, consider and take action to authorize staff to advertise for proposals for group health and life insurance benefits. Debbie?
It's time for us to go out for bids. We do this annually, and we're asking for your authority to start advertising.
So moved.
Second.
Can we follow that same procedure we had before where we try to keep the name of the agent and the company
Certainly can.
blind in the evaluation process? Because I don't think we think that that's relevant to who gets...
We'll change it that way.
Okay.
And Debbie, that compared to last year, there's a difference in price or
On the
yeah?
health insurance or on the other?
No, health insurance.
Health insurance, we haven't seen our renewals yet. They normally don't come in until about 30 to 45 days ahead of.
'Cause on-
So they compete, and
I got a feeling they're going to be a little bit higher.
they haven't gone down in a long, long
I understand
time.
you had a big write-off. I mean, big exposure a couple 3 years ago, and it hasn't come down to.
Well, the exposure, once the exposure is off the case, it's off the case. It's not like in workers' comp, it hangs around with you for 3 years. On health insurance, it drops immediately.
And usually you have more than one bid a year. Or is that was the highest bid, or you had more than one, or?
Normally, we have some issues with our group insurance in that in the industry, there's something called an actively at work provision. And if we change, while we have people who are out on disability or out on workers' comp, they lose their insurance. So a lot of times we have to go out and do this process, but we're stuck with the insurance that we have in order to continue the insurance for people who are out on either disability leave or on workers' comp. And right now we do have some that are out. However, Blue Cross has been consistently a very good bid for us, and it hasn't been the highest bid.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? There are none. Item number 9, consider and act on bids from auction held September 27th, 2005 for the sale of the Patty's Taco Stand to Go building.
We had one bid at the auction. That was Jaime Salazar, who we expected to come in. His bid was $500. He has brought in the money, and he has made an application for a lease. The original purpose that he put on the lease was for seafood sales, and he would like to ask if the board would consider at this time to add a restaurant and alcohol sales to it. If not, he would like to go just for the seafood sales at this time. He was not able to come before you tonight.
Alcohol inside.
Yeah. I wouldn't go for alcohol either.
That's within the restricted area? Or
It's inside the fence?
It's inside the fence area,
yeah.
the fishing harbor.
Refresh my recollection what the policy that we adopted last year was?
That we were going to do it on a case-by-case basis.
No, I thought we were not going to do it on.
No, it was.
I thought-
It's no. If I remember correctly, if on Highway 48 somebody wants to open up a Circle K, you're not going to stop them from selling beer.
Right.
So we couldn't set just a blanket statement, no alcohol on any port property. But we also set a policy or a precedent of the fact that we were not going to allow in the restricted area of inside the port of the restricted area,
fenced area.
in the fenced area to sell alcohol.
Okay, that's the policy.
Yeah.
Right.
Pretty much.
Which is what Commissioner De Los Santos is saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
But the previous
And I did discuss with him that there was,
holder, I believe, sometimes was selling beer without letting people know. So they'll have to be.
he would like to go ahead and start out with this. He was not planning to start with a restaurant for some time down the road, and he would like to come back and at that point make his case again with y'all.
But does he want a restaurant even if he can't sell alcohol?
At this point, he just wants seafood sales if he can't get the whole package. Well,
It was a restaurant before. Yeah. So.
Okay, so the motion would be then to accept the bid price of $500 and allow for the sale of seafood. Okay, was that your motion, Commissioner? Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, there are none. Item number 10, consider and take action on a write-off of uncollectible balance left after the termination of the lease with Little Manuel's, Inc.
after we close out this account, there will be a balance of $38,449.48. As I indicated to you in the backup, $27,754.69 of that was from the bankruptcy from the previous tenant, and the $20,000 is attributable to Mr. Chapa's tenancy there. He has paid $10,000 to us in anticipation of this lease, and we are asking that the balance be written off. He has offered for the purchase of the building $10,000.
So moved.
I'll second. Any discussion?
I want to say, Debbie,
Sir?
what I can understand, he's going to pay that an installment of so much a month, or
Yes, he is.
$500 a month,
Yes, he is.
or how long will it take him? Plus the rent.
Yes, plus the rent, plus his fishing harbor security. And I believe he came in today and made his first payments.
All right.
We wish you all the best, Mr. Chapa. Yes, sir. Make a lot of money, okay?
He will. He's making money now. I mean, all the shrimp coming in and all. The price of fuel is only about $3 a gallon now.
How could you not?
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, there are none. Let's see, item number, is it item 11 or 12? Are we on 11? We're on 11? Okay. Consider and take action to approve sale of the Little Manuel's, Inc. building and the surrounding improvements to Chapa Shrimp Trawlers, Inc. for the sum of $10,000.
Okay. At the last board meeting, we did have a discussion, and we were instructed to go ahead and start this process. However, when I checked the minutes, we didn't actually get a vote. So we're just asking for a vote.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, there are none. Item number 12, consider and take action to authorize Terry Ray Construction, Inc. to perform repairs to the Dock 5 warehouse. The cost of these repairs is recoverable from an insurer in full. The estimated cost of the repairs is $24,645.
Doc 5 or Doc 15?
Doc 15. Doc 15.
Record will so reflect.
And that was put out for bids.
No, actually, it wasn't. This is a sole source. This was this is the franchise holder for that particular building that we purchased. There was a coil that rolled off of a truck into the wall. It crushed the wall. We've been dealing with the insurance company and going back and forth about a release, and we finally have gotten their agreement to go ahead and do the repairs. If there are any concealed damages, they have agreed to pick those up as well. And actually, they called me and told me they're sending me a check for the first $24,000. So we're asking your authorization to let Terry Ray go ahead and get this done.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, there are none. Item number 13, consider and take action on a write-off of uncollectible balance left after the termination of the lease with Fernanda Corporation.
The Fernanda site is essentially cleared. There's a small area that we're still getting taken out, but other than that, the site's been cleared, and B is preparing to get a new lessee on that site. The balance left on this account is $6,496. The principals are gone, as far as we can tell, and we're recommending a write-off.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, there are none. Item 14, consider and take action to declare the building, parking improvements, fixtures, and fencing at the ex-Donnie Chair lease site surplus to the district's needs and to order the salvage action team to dispose of it.
We have been working with this for a while. The bankruptcy was filed on January 1st. Daniel's recommendation is that we go ahead and take this action tonight so that we can start moving forward and put a little pressure on the bank to get this finished up for us.
So moved.
Yeah.
Second.
That wasn't bankruptcy. I mean, it's all settled now. We can go ahead and take our building down.
The building is ours.
All right.
We've already filed one motion in the bankruptcy to recover the building, and that has happened. The problem was that the building's full of stuff, and a local bank has a lien on it. We've not been able to get them to act to remove their stuff. We filed a motion to authorize us to take all that stuff out of there. The debtor's lawyer, Donnie's chair's lawyer, has agreed to that motion. The bankruptcy trustee has agreed to that motion. The motion's set for a hearing next Tuesday. So unless the bank comes in at the last minute and does something as of next Tuesday, we'll have the authority to
Sell that stuff inside?
What happens to that stuff? We're going to put it out, and who's going to own it?
We will sell it because the bank has a lien on it. They will have the first claim on the proceeds of the sale, but we can sell
I
it.
think the bank has already sold the stuff. The inventory.
Then they need to come get it.
Yeah, and I think they are. I mean, what our concern was, the rest of the stuff, all the equipment and the furnishings, and I mean, they just walked out and
Left everything there.
left everything.
When I say we have a hearing next Tuesday, typically the court will sign an order within 10 days after that. So it may be a few more days. But
And it's a very good sized building. In fact, I believe we can get more than what's sold on it. Is that right?
We have interest in this building. We do have interest in this building.
We had an appraisal done, and it was 1.450. So I mean, and we've had at least 5 people that said that they were interested in buying it.
It's in very good shape. It was well maintained, and there's a lot of interest in it. There's a lot of heavy machinery in it. We are actually getting calls from people who are in that industry who are also interested in looking at that.
But is your recommendation going to be to sell it or lease it? Or you
The building, we would like to sell it.
sell the building?
We'd like to sell the building.
But the machinery in there, does that belong to the bank or something, you say?
As far as I know, there's one piece of
It belongs
equipment,
with the building now.
and other than that, it's in the building.
It belongs to us now. Thank you, David.
Do we have a motion?
Yes, we do.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? There are none. Item number 15, consider and take action to authorize the salvage auction team to demolish the following fishing vessels. A, FV, believed to be named Isabella. You want to go
Take
through?
them all?
Sure.
Just they
FV
can all
Gulf
go on the
Seas, FV Kentucky Kid, FV Kentucky Gentleman.
These 4 vessels were included in the auction that we had on September 27th. I had a little bit of interest, but they were just interested in stripping them and leaving us the shells, which we prohibited in the sale that we had. So we did not have any bids for these. We are now able to just demolish them, and what we would like to do is go ahead and just take everything that we can to the scrap and the rest to the landfill. Joe Garza's crew has gotten real good at
We
doing
own
this.
everything that's on the vessel now? Or?
We own those vessels.
I see
These
some
vessels
still
are ours.
Got outriggers up with stabilizer in there, so there's a lot of stuff you'd probably be able to sell, right?
Well, but they're saying.
Our feeling is
But I think we get.
taking it apart, we would have to take it apart, transport it to the shop, then we'd have to catalog it all,
Yeah, I know.
advertise it all, and we probably would not make back what we would spend getting it all gathered up.
In other words, we'd probably be pay ourselves with our labor with what we sell it with instead of just giving it to somebody else.
Yeah, that's Republican.
Zimco Marine sent me an offer that they would demolish each vessel for $28,000 a vessel. So
Our costs run in the neighborhood of $2,000 to $3,000 to do it ourselves. And then we have revenues from the scrap.
Right.
Need a motion?
Yes.
So moved.
Any discussion? A second? Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? There are none. Item 16, consider an act on amending the leasing policy, Section 5, by adding policy for leasing billboard space. B?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to table this item.
Do we have a motion to table?
Why do we need to table?
Excuse me?
Why do we need to table it?
Well, we put a policy together, and then we We've been talking to Mr. Renfro about what the board directed us to do, and that would be to look at potential sites and define the areas that would be suitable for that, and then say we select so many sites, and then we will put them out to bid and have one bid and say, well, you know, we've defined this many sites in the port that would be suitable for that, and then, you know, we bid it out instead of going another route.
I think Nino can add to that, yes.
And that is that we are not sure, and there's very doubtful that TxDOT is going to allow us to issue a license out in the rural area. And
what license do we? I don't think we issue license.
It comes under the state beautification law.
Right.
And anything within 1,600 feet from the right-of-way line on a primary road like that, they control. They control it by license. They have a say-so whether they will let a billboard go off. This is part of the beautification. And I have talked to them, you know, to at least give us an indication whether they would issue a permit. What Lamar wants to do is they want the board to approve the location so that they can go turn around and go to TxDOT. What the instruction from the board was to develop a policy that would be based on us taking bids. In other words, we wouldn't go with Lamar, we'd have to advertise for bids. And the problem that I have here on this is we spent $400 or $500 on taking bids, yet we don't know if TxDOT is going to issue a license. And in discussing this, and I've asked them, can you at least give me some indication? And they say they have so much work that they are only processing the applications themselves. When you process this application, the applicant needs to put out a $96 fee. Now, what I was going to do is I was going to talk to the district engineer and see if they can at least give us an indication of, yes, it would qualify for a license, no, it wouldn't. If they say no, it's not going to qualify, well, there's no point in us taking any bids on something that we know is not going to materialize.
You know, the only little problem that I have with this one right here is that, you know, they approached us and offered that, you know, with an offer, and going back and saying, you know what, we're just going to go ahead and now reevaluate it, and we're just going to bid it out. When it was their business, it's like somebody having a business and deciding to come to our port, and once we say, oh, it's a lucrative business, wait a minute, we're just going to bid it out.
Yes, but in reading the instructions that the board gave us, this is the instruction we got to bid it out.
I don't remember.
I've got a copy of the minutes here, and the board instructed us to, Mr. Renfro suggested that rather than having lease signs negotiated on a case-by-case basis, the board considered instructing staff to develop a policy under which specific sign sites would be identified and the availability of those sites be advertised through a bid process. Commissioner De Los Santos moved to authorize the staff to develop a policy as outlined by Mr. Renfro. The chairman second, and the motion passed unanimously. This was May 23rd of this year.
And let me just say that I will take the blame for this. The staff did develop a policy, which I got, I believe, yesterday. And I said, I don't have any problem with the policy they drafted. I just said it's not consistent with what the board did in May, and you need to make sure that the board's comfortable with the direction this takes. Since the board said in May, we want to advertise for bids for these sites. They did develop a policy, and it's along the lines that Mr. Gutierrez is saying, where it would be a tentative approval by this board, and then the TxDOT would be approached, and then they would come back with final approval. Which is fine. The only comment I would make is that under that process, I don't know that we have any way of knowing whether we're getting the best price we could get if we accept their offer. Whereas competitive bids, you might get a better price. But that's a decision for the board to make. You're not required to take bids. Unless, for instance, they came in and said they wanted an exclusive, then you would be required to take bids.
Yeah, but I don't think they're doing that.
But
I
the
will.
policy that Mr. Gutierrez was talking about was not in line with what the board had passed in May, and so I said you need to make sure that the board's comfortable with where you're going because you're going in a different direction.
What if, because I agree with Nino that, on things he was saying, why wouldn't we allow the advertising company, whoever that may be, whether it's Lamar's or somebody else, go out and try to get the permit, and we just.
Lamar doesn't want to do that. They feel like they have to get a sign up from the property owner, which is BND, before they go to textile.
Well,
Well, I would think that that'd probably be the way advertising works. If they don't have a site, they could never get a permit. Once they have a site, then they would have to go after the permit.
But what I'm saying is, when you submit the permit, here's the site A, you gotta have signature of the property owner that they're willing to lease that site.
Okay.
And what we're saying is, we're obligated under your rules to take bids.
Nino, if you want to change that, you have to rescind the action we took in.
That's right.
Yeah.
You have to bring it back before the board again.
Well, let's bring it back before the board because I don't like the way it's heading. I think we're getting off to something that we weren't intending to do. Because if we got people wanting to lease from the port and we're just making it harder for them to do it, I don't think we're doing justice.
I agree with you 100%, but we're going by what the minute.
Yeah.
But that's.
I agree.
The only other comment is that surely we want to get the best offer for that property, and I think by going to several potential bidders, we're going to do better for the value of the land.
The only thing that I'm looking at is also, let's say John Doe comes here for this piece of property. I want it. No, we're going to have to take it out for bid because there might be somebody else that's going to give us more money for that piece of property.
I hear you.
Okay. But Commissioner, that's the way the minutes read.
Well, I understand that, but that's not the way the way I thought it was going to go. Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine.
And this company has offered that different rates for different sizes of billboards. So it's not a flat out, just a flat rate that they're proposing. It's depending on the size of the billboard and who's advertising. There's going to be a percentage on top of that. The more money they make, the more money we make. That's what they've offered.
One final question. Will that leave it open for other people interested?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I mean, they could come in and say they want 5 sites. We define 5 sites for them. Another company in advertising can come in and define another 5 sites, and if the board approves of the other sites, we could do another lease with somebody else.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yes.
But that burden is on the customer, right?
Well, just so you understand that part of the Beautification Act is you can only have a billboard every so many thousand feet. So the practical effect will be.
I believe there's also something, is a port designated industrial site?
Yes, sir.
Under the Beautification Act?
That I don't know.
Who would know?
Go on, find out.
Okay. Let's find that out because I think that would change things.
Okay,
So we're able to bring it back?
Well, we need some direction as to, okay, you're going to rescind that having to go out and bid. We've got a customer that's applied, and now we're going to set up this new rule of, I guess what we have, did you bring it, Daniel, the proposed,
That would be my first question. Have you circulated the policy?
No.
Has the board seen it?
No, I did not send it to the board because I talked to you and you said, no, that was against what the the board was, had directed us, so I did not pass it to the board.
Well, I think we need to set it back on the agenda and come before the agenda, before the board, asking you all to consider rescinding the action taken in May and to follow up our action.
Make a motion to table it, bring it back to the board next meeting.
And one thing I just want to really emphasize is I just want to make it, not just for this, but I just want to make it easy for any business individual to come in and be able to get in right away. And if it's not going to cost us anything and we're going to make money, I'm good.
Dan, we need to bring it up, or can't we do it here now?
No, we can't do it now. I don't.
You could certainly do it now if you're comfortable in improving a policy you've never seen. But
That's the problem.
No. I'll second
Could
Roy's
we table it to after we can take time to, no, never mind.
I'll second Roy's motion.
Okay, we have a motion to table to the next meeting, item number 16. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, there are none. Item number 17, consider and act on the following leases. Number 1, Bryant Industrial Services, new lease.
Mr. Chairman, I request to table this item.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, there are none. Item 2, General Fabrication and Service Company.
That is part of item number 1. Oh, we need to table that item.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to table item 2. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, there are none. Item 3, Chapa Shrimp Trawlers, Inc., new lease promissory note.
Yes, sir. This is a new lease that's been approved for Mr. Chapa, or for Chapa Shrimp Trawlers. It will be effective October the 1st for 2 years, with 8 renewal options of 1 year each. The purpose is for the operation of commercial fishing boats. The rent is $5,208 a year, and he has signed a promissory note for the $10,000 for the building, which he will pay $500 per month until the principal amount is paid in full. At that time, at the end, we will issue him a bill of sale. That lease and the promissory note is ready for the board's consideration.
I'll make that motion as long as Mr. Chapa says he's going to live up to his agreement.
Yes, sir.
All right, sir.
I'll second the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in...
I just wish you the best of luck. I know that we've gone back and forth on this, and thank you for your patience. And he always has a smile on his face, even when it's not, even when we're being difficult.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, there are none. Item 4, International Shipbreaking Limited, new lease.
This new lease will terminate and replace BND contract 3237, a right of first refusal. That site is located in this area. It will be effective tomorrow, the 6th. It's for a primary term of 5 years with 3 renewal options of 5 years. The purpose is for ship dismantling and heavy machinery, and the rent on this side is $94,212 a year, and this lease is ready for the board's consideration.
Where's it at again?
Right here, sir.
All right.
International has this area, and this is the area that they had on the first refusal. This is the area that they have exercised.
Was that ever leased before to scrap metal before or not?
No, sir. This is a site they've had on the first refusal for some time.
About the lead and everything are going that contaminate the site or not?
Our policies, our leasing policy will have language in there to cover all that, Daniel?
yes. Yeah, they'll have to have pollution control insurance.
So moved.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, there are none. Item 18, consider and take action on assignments, negotiations, easements, subleases, and contracts in general. A, Sea Garden Sales Company, authority to negotiate.
Sea Garden's present lease is due to expire the 31st of December with no renewal options, and they're requesting a new lease at the fishing harbor. And I'm asking the board to give me authority to negotiate with them.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, there are none. Item B, Heavy Duty Equipment, Inc., authority to negotiate.
Heavy Duty Equipment, Inc. Is presently known right now as Dick's Industries. Their lease is due to expire at the end of this month with no renewal options, and they're asking for a new lease. I'm asking the board to give me authority to negotiate.
I'll give you a motion.
We have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? There are none. Item C, A.E. Cantu and Gus S. Martin, authority to negotiate.
These two gentlemen have a grazing lease with a port which expired the 30th of this year, or last month, with no renewal options, and they would like a new grazing lease. Those are yearly.
I'll make a second.
Excuse me, all three of these are yearly, the ones before as well?
no. Oh, no. Grazing leases, I just mentioned, are yearly, but not necessarily Sea Garden and the heavy duty.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? There are none. Item D, Signet Tug and Barge Company, authority to negotiate.
Signet, their lease is due to expire next May 13 with no renewal options. They're wanting a long-term lease. We, the staff, would prefer to negotiate a new contract. There's some things that we'd like to change in that lease. And so we're asking the board to give us authority to negotiate a new lease instead of extending this lease.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? There are none. Item E, Global Signal Inc., Sprint, authority to negotiate.
Again, Global Signal Inc., Sprint, their present lease is due to expire May 31st, 2006 also, with no additional options, and they're also requesting a long-term lease, so we would negotiate a new lease. Sir?
Where are they at now?
Sprint is right outside.
Yeah, that's the one right here. All right.
Yes, sir. Right here.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? There are none. Item F, Singular, bless you, Singular Wireless Nextel Partners, sublease.
Yes, Singular Wireless Nextel. Singular is the lessee, and they're wanting to sublease to Nextel. They are situated here on Garza Road in this area. And the board had tabled that because we brought up the issue about the sublease. We negotiated a $200 per month rate with annual renewals in there, and they have accepted. And so therefore I'm asking the board to consent.
Second.
Any discussion?
Good work on that one.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? There are none. Item G, Valero Logistics Operation LP Inc., Citgo Petroleum Corporation, Transmontane Product Services Inc. Negotiations.
At the last meeting, we gave the board a report on what we had negotiated in regards to this easement and channel crossing to Valero, and copies of what we had agreed or negotiated with Citgo and Transmontane regarding throughput charges. I have a handout for you. I have English. The additional.
Just a different, okay.
The board was concerned and wanted us to address the loss of barge traffic through the intercoastal waterway. Debbie and I, with Donna, worked on what we were looking at, how much barge traffic is going to be lost. Donna had numbers for the Port of Harlingen, so we added this and this figures that because of Valero's line, that's also, is the barges that are going to be eliminated in Harlingen. And we're looking at like 2 a week out there, so 96 barges a year would be, that's going to be lost to Harlingen. and Citgo's averaging, like, say, 2 barges a week. Therefore, we're looking at about 200 barges a year. That's going to be lost because of this project. We got an email. I called Transmontane to help us, and if they would give me something in writing, which they did, and it is attached there, an email that Transmontane believes that their operation will increase and offset the loss in traffic. And so, and what they projected, the projected volumes of what they're looking at to increase in the next few years with the port, and the number of barrels and revenues to the port. We estimated that in 2005, Citgo will move approximately 3.5 million barrels of product via water. Considering wharfage, dockage, harbor fee, and security surcharge of this volume, the district will receive approximately $210,000. Under the throughput rate that we have negotiated, the same volume of 3.5 million barrels of product through the pipeline to truck or rail would generate $227,500 in revenues for the district. Should Citgo reach this incentive goal of 4 million barrels, the district would generate $260,000 in revenue, and then would receive 4 cents for every additional barrel. I have attached for your information a comparison between the ports of Houston and Corpus, and of the revenues the district will make over a 10-year period for the channel crossing only. I have also attached for your information the throughput charges that have been negotiated with Transmontane and Citgo. Both companies are on board, have approved. I have a representative of Citgo here. I don't know if Transmontane is here represented also. I have Valero represented here. If the board have any questions for any of these.
Donna, did they get done in Harlingen? We finished there?
They signed this.
My concern was 2 things on this. My first concern was how much we're going to lose on Intercoastal Canal. We're the most western part of the Intercoastal Canal. If traffic continues, then I don't have no problem. But if it would eliminate traffic all the way from Corpus Christi here, it would have hurt this port. And from what I can understand, according to Transmontane, and he says he believes that their operation will increase to offset this loss in traffic. So I hope this happens. And in talking to Donna, I believe the loss right now in barge traffic from 500 and somewhat, was it?
504 was received through July.
Through July.
Transmontane was only about 60.
60 somewhat, so we will have considerable barge traffic still coming in.
Yes. We have plenty of dry bulk cargo that, yes, is coming through in the coastal.
And my second concern was the crossing of the channel. As you know, this is probably the only port that does not have a crossing of the channel. In the whole United States, maybe in the whole world. Now, if it's done, I probably won't have a problem, but if it's done right, and there's a clause in the contract, I believe Dan has put the clause in the contract that in any case, something in the future will happen, they'll probably have to move it.
The contract would require them to move it and would require them to post a bond.
All right.
Securing their obligation to move it.
So, I mean, that myself, I should take care of my problem.
What's the depth again of the...
90. We had talked about 70, then we went to 80, and then we went to 90, and Valero has approved of going to 90.
Mr. List, is this the best deal we can make?
I think that it's very reasonable, and if you look at the numbers, it's above Houston, Corpus Christi by a significant margin. This is a connection to Mexico. It makes this of more value the way we assessed it. And I thought the negotiation was fair, and they agreed upon it. And if Donna has anything to add to that.
I want to interject just real quick question. Have you all decided if you're going to do the pipeline to Transmontane first or to Citgo first?
Citgo first.
How long will it, what's your timeline of when you think everything's going to happen?
We're already into Harlingen. We have cleared right-of-way all the way up to y'all's property line already for the line coming into Sitco. We estimate that we'll probably be into Sitco by probably late November. I don't believe product is scheduled to move to probably January. February. And then I think it's April 1st is when we should be into Transmontane. So we're on a fairly tight schedule here.
Okay.
And so far, we're on the first 42 miles of our venture. We are a month ahead of time. So things are going well.
Well, good.
Everything in order?
I have one more question. Transmontane, how much more business will that bring your company?
Right now, we're trucking in the naphtha that we're going to be moving. We do about 200 or 250,000 barrels a month, and everything goes out by water. PMI is planning on increasing to about 450,000 barrels a month.
It'll be just coming in. You won't have outgoing on that pipeline, would you?
No.
No.
Just coming in and everything goes out back by water.
So it probably almost double.
Double.
You get those trucks off our road.
Yeah,
There's an environmental.
We're doing 60 to 70 trucks, 60, 70 trucks a day.
Let me just ask this other question. So you're gonna get, I mean, it's no deal breaker or changes my mind on anything. Just the naphtha's coming at the rate that it's coming at, pipeline or no pipeline, we're still getting that out.
If we wouldn't have the pipeline, we'd be doubling the trucks.
No, I understand, but you're still getting them out right now, right? It's not.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
We run from 8 in the morning to about 11:30 at night trying to get all the trucks out.
Okay. How many trucks a day are you?
About 67.
67?
Are going to be off the road.
Good.
Yeah,
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
They've had a couple of accidents already, some of those trucks.
All right, we have a motion to enter into this contract. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Keep on digging.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? There are none. Item H, GSA National Marine Fisheries Authority to negotiate.
Mr. Chairman, this lease is at the fishing harbor. GSA has a lease for National Marine Fisheries for an office there. That building belongs to the port, which we lease to them, and their lease expires the 30th of this year, the 30th of November of this year, with no renewal options, and they would like a new lease. So I'm asking the board to give me authority to negotiate.
So moved.
I'll second the motion. I must include also that for a while there was us in the port to redo their buildings, and we told them no. We're giving you the building to you redo it yourself. There's a big discouragement. They looked around for another place, and they looked and couldn't find a deal like that. So
They couldn't find a better deal, so they made the improvements themselves.
I'll second the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? There are none. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes all of the items on our agenda.